Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to start travel series where we take you on a journey to some of the most stunning places around the world. In today's episode, we're taking you to the beautiful island of Bali, Indonesia. Bali is known for its lush landscapes, pristine beaches, and unique culture. So, come along with us as we explore this beautiful paradise. This island in Indonesia hosts so many beautiful components beyond its wildly lush tropics and beaches. The local Balinese people are equally as treasurable as the incredible activities on offer in Bali and are one of the reasons that this island feels so familiar every time I step foot back onto it. Today I will tell you 16 top-rated tourist attractions and places to visit in Bali. 1. Pura Tanah Lot. About 20 kilometers northwest of Kuta, Pura Tanah Lot is one of Bali's most iconic temples. Its spectacular seaside setting, on a rocky islet surrounded by crashing waves, is a major wow factor. For the Balinese people, it is one of the most sacred of all the island's sea temples. Every evening, throngs of tourists from Kuta, Legion, and Sanur find their way through a labyrinth of lanes lined by souvenir sellers to watch the sun setting behind the temple. Pura Tanah Lot was built at the beginning of the 16th century and is thought to be inspired by the priest Tirta, who asked local fishermen to build a temple here after spending the night on the rock outcrop. Although foreigners can't enter any of the temples in the complex, you can walk across to the main temple at low tide. It's also fun to wander along the paths, taking photos and soaking up the magnificent setting. 2. Mount Batur. Every day in Bali's pre-dawn darkness, hundreds of visitors begin the trek up the 1,700-meter summit of Mount Batur. Once at the top, they watch the sun rise above the lush mosaic of mist-shrouded mountains and the caldera far below. If you're looking for romantic things to do in Bali for couples, this should be top on your list. This sacred active volcano lies in Kintamani district in Bali's Central Highlands, about an hour's drive from Ubud. The hike, along well-marked trails, is relatively easy and usually takes about 2 to 3 hours. Guided treks typically include a picnic breakfast, with eggs cooked by the steam from the active volcano. On a clear day, the views are spectacular, stretching all the way across the Batur caldera, the surrounding mountain range, and beautiful Lake Batur, the island's main source of irrigation water. Sturdy hiking shoes are essential, and it's advisable to wear layers, as the temperature can be cool before sunrise. You can also combine a trip here with a visit to one of Bali's most important temples, Pura Ulun Danu Batur, on the lake's northwest shore, and a therapeutic soak in hot springs at the beautiful village of Toya Bungka on the banks of Lake Batur. 3. Uluwatu Temple. Uluwatu Temple, Pura Uluhur Uluwatu, is one of the Bali's most famous temples, thanks to its magnificent clifftop setting. It presides over plunging sea cliffs above one of Bali's best surf spots. In Balinese, Ulu means tip or land's end, and Watu means rock, a fitting name for the location of the temple on the Bukit Peninsula, along the island's southwestern tip. Like Pura Tanah Lot, sunset is the best time to visit, when the sky and sea glow in the late afternoon light. Archaeological finds here suggest the temple is of megalithic origin, dating from around the 10th century. The temple is believed to protect Bali from evil sea spirits, while the monkeys who dwell in the forest near its entrance are thought to guard the temple from bad influences. Keep your belongings securely stashed away from their nimble grasp. A scenic pathway snakes from the entrance to the temple, with breathtaking viewpoints along the way. Only Hindu worshippers are allowed to enter the temple, but the beautiful setting and the sunset Kecak dance performances that take place here daily are more than worth the visit. The temple lies about 25 kilometers from Kuta. 4. Ubud Monkey Forest. Visiting the Monkey Forest, also known as the Sacred Monkey Forest Sanctuary, is one of the top things to do in Ubud, Bali. It's also one of the best places to visit in Bali if you're an animal lover or photographer. You can walk here in about 10 minutes from the town center in Ubud. Besides the entertaining troops of gray long-tailed macaques that make their home here, a large part of the appeal is the evocative jungle setting where the monkeys roam free. Paved pathways lead through thick forests of giant banyan and nutmeg trees, where moss-covered statues and ancient temples loom through the dense foliage, imparting an almost mystical feel. The forest is intended to represent the harmonious coexistence between humans and animals. It also conserves rare plants and is used as a location for researching macaque behavior, particularly their social interaction. On the southwest side of the forest is one of the 3 temples found here, the 14th century Pura Dalam Agung Padang Tegal. Here, hundreds of monkeys swing through the trees and clamber over the walls. 5. Ubud Art and Culture. Made famous by the book and movie Eat, Pray, Love, Ubud is also the epicenter of Balinese art and culture. This is where the modern Balinese art movement was born, with the surrounding royal palaces and temples acting as the main patrons. Today, several excellent local museums and galleries celebrate its evolution and traditions. Art gazing is particularly rewarding here, as many collections are housed in traditional Balinese buildings surrounded by serene tropical gardens. 6 Tegalalang and Jatiluwih rice terraces in Bali. Want to visit the beautiful emerald-hued rice fields that you see on all the Bali tourist brochures and Instagram posts? The Tegalalang or Jatiluwih rice terraces should be at the top of your sightseeing list, especially if you're a photographer. About a 30-minute drive north of Ubud, Tegalalang rice terraces are one of the most famous areas to photograph these iconic landscapes and absorb their timeless beauty. Be aware that locals ask for donations along the most popular trail through the rice fields here, and many request fees for entrance and parking along the road. A relaxing way to enjoy the lush landscapes is at one of the many restaurants and cafes overlooking the fields. About a 90-minute drive from Ubud, the Jatiluwih rice terraces cover more than 600 hectares of rice fields along the hillsides of the Batu mountain range and tend to be less crowded than Tegalalang. You'll also find fewer tourist touts here, so it's easier to walk around and explore without being hassled. Both of these locations use the traditional water management cooperative called Subak, a UNESCO-recognized irrigation system that dates to the 9th century. 7 Pura Ulun Danu Bratan. The 17th century Pura Ulun Danu Bratan is one of Bali's most picturesque temple complexes. It sits on a small island along the western shore of Lake Bratan, in the cool highlands of central Bali. Set against the imposing backdrop of Gunung Bratan, the thatched temples reflect on the lake, and when the water levels rise, they seem to float on its surface. Lake Bratan is one of Bali's main sources of irrigation and drinking water, and the temple complex is dedicated to Dewi Danu, goddess of the sea and lakes. An unusual feature is the Buddhist stupa on the left of the entrance to the first courtyard, with figures of Buddha meditating in the lotus position in niches on the square base. The stupa reflects the adoption of Buddhist beliefs by Balinese Hindus. The best time to visit this sacred Hindu temple complex is early in the day, before the tourist buses arrive. The temple is especially picturesque in the soft morning light, when cool mist sometimes cloaks the lake and the mountains beyond. You can also hire a canoe and paddle out on the lake to explore the Meru, thatched shrines, at close range. Not far from the temple complex, the Bali Botanic Garden, Kebun Raya Bali, is also worth a visit, with its beautiful bamboo forests, begonias, orchid collection, and medicinal plants. Address: Jalan Bidugal, Singaraja, Kandi Kuning, Baturatai, Kabupaten Tabanan. 8 Nusa Dua Beach. Want an escape from Bali's urban buzz? Nusa Dua Beach is your answer. Here, you can recline on a comfortable sun lounger, cool drink in hand, and listen to the gentle slosh of surf on silky, white sands. You won't get that cultural hit you'll find elsewhere in Bali. This is a gated resort area on its own private peninsula after all, but if it's peace and relatively pristine sands you seek, you'll find it here, at one of Bali's best beaches. Some of Bali's best luxury beach resorts preside over this sweeping stretch of shore, and resort staff work hard to keep the sand clean and clear of trash. Popular things to do at Nusa Dua include strolling for miles along the shore, swimming, surfing, parasailing, and sunbathing, but you might need to pay a fee or eat at one of the resorts to use their sun loungers. Still, if you're after a top Bali beach experience, Nusa Dua ticks the box. When you tire of the beach, you can sign up for some pampering at a posh resort spa or browse the chic shops at Bali Collection, an open-air shopping mall. A paved promenade skirts the shore for off-sand strolling between the resorts and attractions. With all this relaxation on tap, no wonder Nusa Dua is one of the top places to visit in Bali for a honeymoon. 9 Besakih Temple, Pura Besakih. More than 1,000 years old, Pura Besakih is known as the Mother Temple for a reason. It's the holiest Hindu temple complex in Bali, and the biggest. Set in a spectacular location on the southern slopes of Mount Agung, at an altitude of 1,000 meters, Pura Besakih is actually a series of many different temples, which serve as the spiritual center for the Balinese people. Pura Penataran Agung is the largest. Lush rice paddies and forests ring this temple complex, and many important festivals take place here. You might be lucky enough to see one during your visit. Plan to spend about 3 hours touring the temples. It's also a good idea to wear comfortable walking shoes. You'll need to walk a fair distance and climb many stairs. Benefiting tip: locals trying to sell sarongs, incense, guiding services, and various other items bombard visitors at the gates here, but your ticket includes everything that you'll need during your visit. The best time to visit Pura Besakih is early in the morning before the tourist buses arrive. And the Nusa Islands. Craving a slower-paced Bali, without the crowds, traffic, and tourist touts? The Nusa Islands are where you'll find it. They are also a great place in Bali for couples who crave a little more serenity than they might find on the mainland. The most popular of the three islands is Nusa Lembongan, about 20 kilometers offshore from Sanur and easily accessible by speedboat. Surfing, snorkeling, diving, kayaking, and stand-up paddleboarding are the main activities here, and the top attractions include beautiful Dream Beach, Mushroom Bay, and the Devil's Tears rock outcrop, with views of crashing surf erupting over the rocks. Many locals still make their living from seaweed farming, and you can watch them harvesting it by the shore. The neighboring island, Nusa Ceningan, lies just over a bridge from Nusa Lembongan, with a beautiful blue lagoon. The largest of the island trio, Nusa Penida, is a quick boat ride away. Rock formations, caves, and a bird sanctuary are Nusa Penida's top draws, and diving is one of the most popular things to do here, with the chance to see manta rays, sunfish, and turtles. Don't miss the steep hike down to Kelingking Beach, also known as T-Rex Bay, to bask on your own slice of golden sand, backed by soaring sea cliffs. It's one of the top beaches in Asia. Accommodation on the islands ranges from rustic huts to luxury villas. 11 Kuta Beach. Yes, it's crowded and persistent hawkers stalk the beach, but this famous stretch of sand, along with neighboring Legion and Seminyak beaches just to the north, is one of the most happening places to visit in Bali. You'll have a fun day out here, especially if you're a beginner surfer or you just want to soak up the scene. You can book surf lessons and rent surfboards, boogie boards, sun loungers, and umbrellas directly from vendors set up on the sand, and plenty of cafes and restaurants border the beach. Beach vendors are easily dissuaded with a polite no, thank you, but an icy cold coconut sloshing with juice served directly to your sun lounger can be a blessing on a sultry day. Kuta Beach is one of the best places for young travelers who are looking for a livelier vibe than the sleepy beach resorts offer. 12 Lempiong Temple Complex. If you've ever seen the famous Instagram photo of people at the gates of heaven and wondered about the location, Pura Penataran Agong Lempiong is where they posed. Often just called Lempiong Temple, Pura Lempiong, this famous structure is actually one of a series of temples peppering the highlands of Mount Lempiong. Tourists come here to capture a photo standing between the towering dragon staircases, which frame the misty peak of Mount Agong. If you have time, it's worthwhile visiting the other temples while you're here. Pura Luhur Lempiong is one of Bali's most sacred temples, and one of the hardest to access. Ready for some exercise? The temple lies at the top of a calf sculpting hike up 1,700 steps through the steamy jungle to almost 1,200 meters above sea level. Keep an eye out for the gray long-tailed macaques scampering around the forest along the way. The hike to Pura Luhur Lempiong usually takes around 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on your fitness level, but once at the top, you'll be rewarded with the mystical beauty of an ancient relic, and spectacular views. Not up for the hike? You might be able to pay a local to whisk you to the end of the asphalt road on a motorbike to shorten the trek. Insider tip: try to visit on a clear day for the best views, and bring a sarong, otherwise you might have to rent one at the temple. Also note that local villagers request donations at this famous spot. 13. The Sidemen Valley. About 90 minutes drive northeast of Ubud, the emerald-hued Sidemen Valley evokes the feel of old Bali, before the tourist throngs descended on the island. Sleepy villages snuggle in the valley amid cascading rice terraces, and cloud-capped Mount Agung looms in the background like a benevolent sentry. A highlight of a visit here is strolling around the small villages. This is where the locals still tend to their traditional activities, surrounded by farmland and rice paddies. You can also hike through the countryside to the summit of Mount Agung, or trek through the rice fields and lush countryside past cocoa and coffee plantations. Other popular things to do here include rafting the rivers, yoga retreats, and taking part in cultural activities such as dancing, carving, or traditional weaving. Bali homestays and B&Bs are particularly popular in this area, but you'll also find some luxury villas overlooking the rice fields. 14. Sekumpul Waterfall. Sekumpul Waterfall is considered by many to be Bali's most beautiful waterfall. Located in the Singaraja region, about 66 kilometers north of Ubud, this tucked-away tourist attraction is actually a series of about 7 falls, cascading like long misty veils over the lip of a lush, jungle-clad cliff. Note that if you choose to drive yourself here, locals might try and stop you well before the entrance, demanding exorbitant entrance and parking fees. It's a good idea to hire a local guide who knows how to negotiate these roadblocks and access the correct trailhead to the falls. The 3 to 4 hour round-trip trek passes by rice terraces and local villages rimmed with rambutan and durian trees, and continues through dense tropical jungle. It can be strenuous in parts, as you need to hike down slippery steps and slosh through a river, but once you arrive, you can cool off with a refreshing swim at the base of the falls. This is a great adventure for nature lovers who want a taste of wild Bali far from the touristy resorts. 15. Tirta Empul Temple. Dating from around 960 CE, Tirta Empul Temple, Pura Tirta Empul, in the lush tropical forest of central Bali, offers a glimpse into a sacred purification ritual. This important temple complex, a National Cultural Heritage Site, is divided into 3 courtyards. The focal point is the large, rectangular pool, fed by a holy mountain spring, where locals come to pray and soak in the healing waters that gush from a series of sculpted spouts. If you wish to join the locals in the cleansing ritual, it's best to ask an experienced guide first to make sure you respect the customs. You must enter the water fully clothed, wearing a sarong and sash, and it's best to explore the temple complex first, as you are not allowed to drip water in the courtyards. The best times to visit Tirta Empul Temple are early morning and late afternoon. 16. Waterbomb Bali. Wondering about places to visit in Bali with the family? Plan a day at Waterbomb Bali. This action-packed water park, in the heart of Kuta, has something for every member of the family. Kids can splash in the swimming pools, drift down the lazy river, or zoom down one of the many twisting water slides and rides, with names like the Python, Green Viper, and Super Bowl. Moms and dads can relax with a reflexology session, manicure or pedicure, or fish spa therapy. Restaurants and cafes cater to a range of different diets, and the grounds are landscaped with large, shady trees and beautiful tropical gardens, making this a refreshing respite from the heat on a hot tropical day. Ever wanted to try wakeboarding, water skiing, kneeboarding, or surfing, a cross between surfing and water skiing, in a relatively safe environment? Bali Wake Park is the place to visit for this and more exhilarating water park fun. Kids will love Aqualand here. It's a giant inflatable obstacle course on the lake. That's it for today's episode of our travel series. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting destinations around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.